Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about the Great Filter. So to understand what this idea is about, we first need to understand the Drake sort of paradox, and this is the idea of the universe is so vast and huge and also really old, incredibly old. So many different places, opportunities. We now know that most stars have planets around them. So many opportunities for life to arise for such long amounts of time. So the question is, why don't we see anything? And there is this kind of, I wouldn't say movement, but a kind of idea that's been getting a bit more popular, and this is the idea of a great filter. This is the idea essentially that in some place there must be some kind of a roadblock, some kind of a filter, something that prevents life from being as common as we would like to think that it might be, looking at the universe. As right now, as you see it, the universe is vast and empty. We see no signs of alien spaceships, colonies, megastructures around stars, none of that. So the idea being that somewhere long down, either in our past, there must have been something that made really difficult for life to arise. Either it was really difficult for the first molecules to assemble into life. Either it was really difficult for multicellular life to start. Either for most planets everywhere in the universe, cataclysmic events happen, climate changes, asteroids, meteors, whatever happens, and life just wipes out constantly and constantly. Or it might be the possibility that some roadblock is ahead of us. It might be that most civilizations, most life, gets to a stage of relative intelligence to be able to do technology, build cities, societies, or things like that. But very shortly as they get to this stage, they get wiped out either by nuclear weapons, by some kind of megaviruses. Something happens. Either we kill ourselves technologically, or this is something inherently dangerous about evolving some kind of intelligence. So the question is, we don't see any aliens. Is there something that prevents life from starting, or is there something that stops intelligent life from moving forwards? And now people are, I wouldn't say praying, but hoping that there is this roadblock behind us instead of in front, because if the roadblock is ahead of us, then that means that we still have some kind of incredible challenge ahead of us that we need to get over and overcome. Now, this idea makes sense, and it's a reasonable idea and it's a good proposal, but I would not fully accept it as any kind of reality. It's true that there definitely are some kind of filters, I'm sure there are. But I would also like to say that we, as human beings, only have started looking around us for a really, really short amount of time. We, as life, has been here for billions of years. Our technological civilization has been here for, depending on how you count, for a few hundred or a few thousand years. We have made actual astronomical observations that really get anywhere deep for about few hundred years. Few hundred years is nothing. I would at least say. We haven't even properly woken up and looked anywhere further than our small backyard, and we're already screaming, "Where is everyone? We don't see any aliens." I think this is really premature. We shouldn't yet say these things since we haven't even properly looked. This is the way that I would look at it. Again, I'm sure there are some filters that filter life in different kinds of ways, stars that might be dangerous and fluctuating, so life can't stably evolve around them. So many different possibilities that can prevent life from happening. But again, it's such a vast space that we're living in with so many opportunities. It seems a bit ridiculous, although of course not impossible, that there is something that universally stops every civilization from advancing. I think that really is a premature thought. Now people are looking at this great filter argument and hoping that the roadblock is behind us, and with that mentality people are hoping that we don't discover any microbes in life, that we don't see any life in the moons of Europa, because if we did, that would mean that the roadblock is ahead of us, that it's really simple to get to some basic form of life and evolve from there, but it's the technological civilization that is difficult to sort of advance. Now, I would say that this is a kind of a ridiculous way of looking at it, because if we really, like as I said, we have only been looking around for such a short period of time, so if we do start discovering life, maybe something on Mars, maybe something on the moons of Europa, and then we see maybe some other star system and see signs of life in there, And then we're like, oh my god, this is horrible. But I would say, isn't this like the natural thing of how we advance and we start discovering more and more life? And then we might discover that it's normal, that the universe is full of life, and that actually we were just panicking for no reason. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say it's a bad sign if we find more life. I would say it's a good sign. And if you find basic life, it might take a bit longer probably to find some signs of intelligent life, but shouldn't make us think that like, oh no, there like something is horribly wrong. Like that's just like, I hope I'm making some kind of case for it, and I hope it makes some kind of sense at least, because this is the way that I look at it. We're just waking up. We barely even started looking around properly. We're only looking at some certain visible light wavelengths. We're only listening to certain places with our radio telescopes. It's just really minute little bit of thing in short amounts of time, and we expect to see some civilizations. I think that is absurd. So I would say that it's quite early to say these kind of things, and I think people shouldn't panic and hope that we don't find any microbes. It might be that we keep finding life here and there and there and there, and before we know it, we actually realize that we live in a universe that is actually full of life, and we were just too stupid or just incapable of recognizing and seeing this life around us before. So that I would sort of propose to you. So I hope you got some few interesting thoughts from this. If you have any ideas, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.